closed in over half of the 50 states, including North Carolina and Pennsylvania, which, as we've been hearing, is the biggest prize of all the swing states, with 19 electoral college votes. And then at 4 o'clock in the morning, with the exception of Hawaii and Alaska, the polling will be over. Now, you can follow all the results as they come in, with full coverage of the election after the news, with Katrina Perry and Sumi Somaskanda. Hi there to you both. You're in the studio already. What have you got planned?
Thanks, Clive. Yeah, we're here ready to go. Join us straight after this programme and follow one of the closest and most dramatic elections in modern US history.
We'll bring you all of the results as they happen and explain what they mean in the race for the White House.
We'll have a host of experts here in our studio, including Kathy Kay, our special US correspondent.
And of course, as the night unfolds, we'll hear from our correspondents across the country and around the world.
So we're staying up all night for 11 hours of results and reaction.
So do join us for the BBC's US Election Night programme with Katrina and myself right after the news.
See you then.
All right, looking forward to it. Thank you. As you can imagine, there are media teams here from all over the world. Take a look at this. To my right, next to me here in Washington, broadcasters from Spain, France, even Egypt. All here because of the global significance of this election. It's a big story, no question about that. Time now, though, for a look at the weather, and Thomas has all the details. Hi, Thomas.
Hi, Clive. Well, I'm here back in London. The forecast, well, little change over the next, not just few days, but we think right through the middle of November, and who knows, maybe even beyond. Mainly cloudy conditions with limited sunshine, patchy fog, a little bit of drizzle. We'll call it overall dry, just little bits and pieces of light rain, nothing more than that. But have a look at this blocking high. It extends all the way from the UK across Central Europe to the Caspian Sea and Asia. We're talking about thousands of miles of a large area of high pressure. This takes us into middle November, and another area of high pressure develops across the UK. That gives us an indication that the atmosphere is almost stalled, with the jet stream to the north of us taking all the weather fronts away from us. So very little in the way of rain, bar a bit of drizzle from thicker cloud in some spots of the country. Now tonight, where the skies do clear, despite this relatively mild air mass, temperatures will dip to about freezing, very close to the ground. But this warm air mass continues, certainly through much of this week. Now when we get a southerly wind, and the winds go over the mountains, they tend to break the clouds up a little bit to the lee of high ground, the other side of the mountain. So we could see some decent breaks, lengthy breaks of sunshine there around northern Scotland to the north of Wales, somewhere around the Pennines. And here temperatures could be around 16 degrees. But if you're stuck underneath that low grey sky with very little wind to push it around, it does feel pretty chilly, despite the fact that we're calling it a relatively mild air mass. Air mass is that body of atmosphere that drifts. 14 degrees, the typical temperature, I think. And this is what we are going to get over the next few days. Very little change. So if you're tracking your apps, you're not really going to spot much of a difference from day to day. Back to you. Back to Clive, that is.
Thomas, thank you for that. That's it from Washington. Before we join our colleagues for the news where you are, here are some highlights from the election campaign. Have a very good night.
More border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation.
I accept your nomination. People start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. We can fix every single problem our country faces and lead America and lead the world.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
There's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Are we ready to do this?
Get out and vote.